Do you think the characters from The King of Queens walked off the set and lived happily ever after? Not at all. They had histories of substance abuse, collapsed in hospitals, battled with broken marriages, and ended their lives in quiet deaths that shocked the world. You won't believe this was real life. Jerry Stiller as Arthur Spooner. Gerald Isaac Stiller was born on June 8, 1927, in New York. He was 71 years old when he took on the role of Arthur Spooner in the series The King of Queens, 1998 to 2007, portraying the eccentric, gruff father who still deeply loved his daughter Carrie. But behind the laughs, his life held many sorrows, with long years of exhaustion spent trying to hold together a home that seemed on the verge of falling apart. His marriage to Meara, both his co-star and partner of more than 60 years, went through a terrifying storm when both of their careers declined in the early 1980s. Sarcastic remarks, canceled contracts, and audiences turning away pushed them to the brink of divorce. Jerry himself admitted that he had once felt so hopeless he believed he was about to lose the only woman who ever made him feel worthy. They held on to each other, to start again, and because they feared losing the one person who had stood by them through countless theater gigs and humble dinners. When luck smiled on them again with Seinfeld and then The King of Queens, Jerry still couldn't escape real-life tragedy. Meara fell ill and passed away in 2015, leaving him lost in unending loneliness. In his final years, Jerry clung to his son Ben Stiller, taking on a few supporting roles in Zoolander as a way to fill the emotional void. But his health had already deteriorated, and his heart was broken after losing his creative soulmate and lifelong partner. Jerry Stiller died on May 11, 2020, at the age of 92 from natural causes, closing a life filled with both glory and bitterness. His estimated net worth was around $14 million, including an Upper West Side apartment and a vintage car collection, the result of a lifetime of saving, sacrifice, and resilience after countless hardships. He became an unforgettable symbol of American comedy. Meara as Veronica Olchin. Meara was born on September 20, 1929, in Brooklyn. She was 70 years old when she joined The King of Queens in 1999 as Veronica Olchin, the strong yet sensitive mother of Spence, who later became Arthur Spooner's wife in the series finale. Few knew that behind the spotlight, Anne's life was filled with tragedy and quiet pain. When she was 11 years old, the trauma of her mother's suicide became etched in her memory, plunging her into a long stretch of loneliness throughout her youth. When she married Jerry Stiller in 1954, Anne struggled with depression and alcohol addiction, especially during the early years of their marriage when both of their careers were unstable and endless arguments seemed ready to destroy everything. Though they eventually rose again to fame together, Anne quietly felt overshadowed later, when Jerry found renewed stardom through Seinfeld and The King of Queens, while she struggled to reclaim her former spotlight. Years later, Meara continued acting, writing plays, and appeared in Sex and the City, but deep down she could never shake the sadness of insecurity and the fear of being forgotten. Her health declined with a series of strokes, and she had to move into the Hebrew home nursing facility, ending her long and tiring chase for fame. Even with her family nearby, Anne couldn't hide the loneliness, like an old wound that never healed. She passed away on May 23, 2015, at the age of 85, from natural causes, carrying with her a lifetime of unspoken sorrow. Her remains were laid to rest in Manhattan, and she left behind an estimated net worth of $12 million, most of which was tied to the apartment she once shared with Jerry Stiller. Kevin James as Doug Heffernan. Kevin James, whose real name is Kevin George Nipfing, was born on April 26, 1965 in New York. He was 33 years old when he skyrocketed to TV stardom by playing Doug Heffernan, a chubby, lovable delivery man constantly caught in awkward situations, in the hit sitcom The King of Queens, 1998 to 2007. The show ran for 9 seasons, earned him an Emmy nomination, and opened the door for him to enter the ranks of Hollywood's A-list. However, few people know that behind the laughter lies a journey full of challenges. During his teenage years, Kevin once dreamed of becoming a professional wrestler, but a serious spinal injury ended his athletic career before it even began. This plunged him into a period of crisis and mild depression. It took him years to discover a passion for comedy as a form of healing. After The King of Queens, Kevin continued to make his mark with the romantic comedy Hitch, 2005, starring alongside Will Smith and later Paul Blart, Mall Cop, 2009, where he played a bumbling mall security guard, a role that brought in over $180 million worldwide despite being harshly criticized by film reviewers. In real life, Kevin leads a quiet but stable married life with Filipina model Stefiana de la Cruz since 2004, and they have 4 children together. Even so, the pressures of fame, body image, and health issues led him to battle obesity and chronic hypertension, forcing him to lose weight seriously after 2015. Kevin is a devout Catholic who frequently attends church and hosts faith-sharing gatherings with fellow entertainers. At times, he has faced criticism for choosing overly safe or silly comedy scripts, but he has never lost the public's affection. As of 2025, Kevin James is 60 years old and still alive, continuing to perform stand-up comedy and produce content for the Amazon Prime platform. His estimated net worth is around $100 million, mostly from film projects, television royalties, and endorsement deals. Doris Roberts as Marie Barone. Doris May Roberts was born on November 4, 1925, in Missouri. She was 74 years old when she appeared in The King of Queens in 1999, playing Marie Barone, the cunning, meddlesome, and clever mother, a role forever associated with her from Everybody Loves Raymond. Celebrated as a comedy icon with 5 Emmy Awards, Roberts amazed audiences with a portrayal so authentic it made everyone love and hate her at the same time. Yet behind that glamour, she lived a life full of pain and quiet struggles. After her father walked out when she was a child, Doris grew up in poverty under the care of her single mother and held bitter memories of hardship, to the point of taking typing jobs to support the family. Later, her second marriage to writer William Goyen was also full of heartache, as his infidelity left a deep emotional scar. She had to hold everything together, raising her son and maintaining her career in an industry obsessed with youth, all while witnessing close friends pass away one after another, leaving her in silent loneliness. Despite widespread acclaim, Roberts never truly escaped the feeling of being forgotten by Hollywood, especially as she crossed into her 80s and faced strokes and pulmonary hypertension that forced her to fight every day just to keep acting. She continued to appear on screen, in films like Medea's Witness Protection and guest spots on The Middle, as if determined to prove she had not yet been defeated. But inside, Doris struggled with time and fading fame, which left a void that was not easily filled. Doris Roberts passed away in her sleep on April 17, 2016, at the age of 90, closing a lifetime of dedication marked by both bitterness and love. She was laid to rest at Pierce Brothers Westwood Village Memorial Park in Los Angeles, leaving behind an estimated net worth of $14 million, which included a luxurious apartment and a valuable art collection. Florence Henderson as Lily. Florence Agnes Henderson was born on February 14, 1934, in Indiana. She was 66 years old when she played the role of Lily in The King of Queens in 2000. Florence once captivated audiences with her portrayal of Lily, a model mother, strong and full of optimism. But behind the spotlight, her life was a long series of struggles and heartbreaks that few people truly knew. Florence's first marriage to Ira Bernstein ended after nearly 30 years, forcing her to raise 4 children on her own at a time when her fame had begun to fade. When she entered a second marriage with hypnotherapist John Kappas, She found herself under even more emotional strain as Kappas suffered from severe health problems, which in turn led Florence into depression and a crisis of faith. The loneliness grew deeper as she watched many of her contemporaries pass away, and as Hollywood's spotlight faded, it left behind an emptiness that was difficult to fill. In her final years, Florence continued to make regular appearances, such as on Dancing with the Stars in 2010 and hosting various cooking shows, always with a radiant smile. But behind the scenes, she quietly battled heart disease. Her health gradually declined until she collapsed unexpectedly on Thanksgiving Day in 2016 at the age of 82, just days after visiting a studio taping to cheer on her former co-star Maureen McCormick. Her estimated net worth was around $10 million, including a warm, welcoming home in Los Angeles, a final testament to her resilience and lifelong passion for her craft. She had become America's mom in the hearts of millions. Kirstie Alley as herself. Kirstie Louise Alley was born on January 12, 1951, in Kansas. She was 55 years old when she appeared as herself in The King of Queens in 2006. Talented, sharp, and captivating, Kirstie became one of the iconic figures of American television in the late 20th century. But behind the glamour, her life carried many emotional scars and lingering tragedies. 2 failed marriages left Kirstie with a deep sense of loneliness, although she had 2 adopted children who remained by her side. Years of struggling with her weight and the harsh scrutiny from the public deeply wounded Alley, sometimes causing her to lose faith in herself. When she turned to Scientology for peace, she faced the alienation of many friends due to the religion's controversial nature. Despite her fame and wealth, Kirstie often wrestled with the absence of true love and genuine acceptance. Kirstie made a comeback with shows like Fat Actress and Dancing with the Stars, but as her health declined, she was diagnosed with late-stage colon cancer just months before she took her final breath in Tampa in December 2022 at the age of 71. The aggressive illness ravaged her body so quickly that she didn't have time to say proper goodbyes, and she passed away, leaving her family and colleagues in deep sorrow. Her estimated net worth was around $40 million, including a luxurious home in Clearwater, expensive cars, and an antique collection. William Hurt as Dr. Tabor. William McCord Hurt was born on March 20, 1950. He was 52 years old when he appeared in The King of Queens in 2002 as Dr. Tabor. With his deep voice and soulful gaze, Hurt was once hailed as a Hollywood icon of the 1980s. Yet behind that shining career lay many bitter and painful shadows. William Hurt's personal life was marked by many ruptures. 2 divorces and overlapping relationships left him with 4 children, but also deep, unresolved tensions. Accusations of abuse from Marlee Matlin, combined with legal disputes from former partner Sandra Jennings, cast a dark cloud over his reputation and nearly pushed him out of Hollywood. He chose to retreat, living in seclusion in a home in Oregon, where his later years were marked by solitude and illness. Hurt battled metastatic prostate cancer for many years, enduring both physical pain and emotional torment from old wounds that never truly healed. On the outside, people still called him a star, but on the inside, William Hurt was a fractured soul, burdened by a sense of being forgotten by the very industry that once celebrated him. He passed away on March 13, 2022, at the age of 71. Leaving behind an estimated net worth of $8 million, along with a peaceful home in Portland, Oregon. Hurt's death marked the end of a remarkable yet harsh artistic journey, a reminder that stage glory is never enough to soothe the silent wounds in the heart of a lonely artist. Gavin MacLeod as Uncle Stu. Gavin MacLeod, born Alan George C., was born on February 28, 1931. He began appearing in The King of Queens in 2001 when he was 70 years old, playing Uncle Stu, a charming guest role. Few knew that behind his warm smile and calm demeanor was a life filled with quiet regrets and unspoken pain. MacLeod went through multiple broken marriages, including a bitter divorce from his first wife, followed by a remarriage that also fell apart, all before he found faith as his final anchor. The instability of these relationships left him with a lasting sense of loneliness for many years, especially as old age approached. Even though he once experienced great fame, his biggest fear was being forgotten, something he increasingly felt as Hollywood's glow faded away. In his final years, Gavin MacLeod lived quietly in his home in Palm Desert, California, grappling with declining health day by day. Fame had brought him an estimated net worth of around $10 million, but it could not fill the emotional void left by fading friendships and love. In the end, he clung to his religious faith as the last source of comfort for a soul marked by many wounds. MacLeod passed away on May 29, 2021, at the age of 90, closing the extraordinary journey of a television star who also carried a shadow of solitude, a reminder that fame is never enough to fill an empty heart. Shelley Berman as Skitch. Sheldon Leonard Berman was born on February 3, 1925, in Chicago. At 78 years old, he appeared in The King of Queens in 2003 as Skitch, bringing the same witty charm that had made him famous into the world of modern sitcoms. Berman also left a lasting impression on audiences with his role as Larry David's father in Curb Your Enthusiasm, earning him a prestigious Emmy nomination in 2008. Behind his humorous exterior and successful career, Shelley Berman's life was filled with emotional wounds that never fully healed. His marriage to Sarah Herman lasted over 7 decades, but the couple endured unbearable pain when their only son, Joshua, died of a brain tumor at age 12. That trauma sent them into a crisis that weighed heavily on their hearts for the rest of their lives. Berman often confessed to feelings of guilt for not being able to protect his son, a wound that haunted him like a ghost in his mind. Berman's career also suffered major setbacks, most notably the 1960 scandal in which he was secretly recorded losing his temper backstage, a moment that shattered his carefully built image as a witty storyteller. After that, he struggled to regain his footing, clinging to television roles in an effort to remind audiences that he still had value. His later years grew even more difficult as Alzheimer's slowly stole his memory, turning a once sharp intellect into a fading shadow, leaving Berman in silence and solitude. On September 1, 2017, Shelley Berman passed away at his home in Bell Canyon, California, at the age of 92, ending a long life marked by upheaval and heartache. His estimated net worth of about $2 million could never compensate for the emotional void, especially the loss of his son, which continued to ache in his heart for decades. A performer who once made millions laugh quietly left the stage, leaving behind a creative legacy laced with personal tragedy. Peter Boyle as Frank Barone. Peter Lawrence Boyle was born on October 18, 1935, in Pennsylvania. He was 63 years old when he joined The King of Queens in 1998, playing Frank Barone, the grumbling but loving father figure, a role that had already made him a familiar face to millions through Everybody Loves Raymond. Behind the spotlight, Peter Boyle's life carried tensions that were hard to express. Though he had a lasting and devoted marriage with Lorraine Alterman, their relationship was not without its worries, as Boyle constantly battled heart disease and recurring multiple myeloma, which at times left him emotionally overwhelmed. As a devoted father, he was haunted by the fear of leaving his 2 daughters too soon, especially as his condition worsened and he could no longer fully dedicate himself to his craft. In his final years, Boyle tried to hold on to his passion by taking on supporting roles and appearing in heartwarming films, but his deteriorating health made it difficult to maintain the same presence he once had during his peak. The looming presence of death, combined with professional pressure, weighed heavily on him, creating an inner sorrow that contrasted with the humorous, strong characters audiences remembered. Peter Boyle passed away on December 12, 2006, at a hospital in New York at the age of 71. He left behind an estimated net worth of $8 million, including the home he had shared with his family in the bustling city. A vibrant artistic legacy came to a close, but it was also shadowed by illness and worry, a reminder of the fragility of an artist facing the many challenges of real life. Harold Gould as Irv Glassman. Harold Vernon Goldstein, better known by his stage name Harold Gould, was born on December 10, 1923. He was 77 years old when he appeared in The King of Queens in 2000 as Irv Glassman, a character embodying the classic grandfather figure. Gentle, insightful, and full of warmth, much like the roles Gould had portrayed in hundreds of performances throughout his career. Known for standout roles in series like Rhoda and the Golden Girls, he was always beloved by audiences for his elegant and polished style. Yet behind the fame, Harold Gould quietly carried a sense of disappointment, feeling that he was often underrated. Throughout his long career, he was rarely offered leading roles, and his artistic heart broke time and again from the longing for a moment to fully shine. The pressures of making a living and a grueling work schedule also created cracks in his marriage with his wife, Leah, though they remained together until the end. In his final years, Gould was drained by a prolonged battle with prostate cancer, which gradually weakened him and made it difficult to sustain his theatrical passion. In solitude, he immersed himself in unpublished memoirs, as if searching for meaning in a career that he himself felt had not been fully appreciated. With every role that passed, a new void formed inside him, leaving Gould tormented by the question of the true value of a lifetime of dedication. Harold Gould passed away on September 11, 2010, at the age of 86. He left behind an estimated net worth of around $1 million, including a small, peaceful home in Woodland Hills. It was a sad ending for a talented artist who had spent his life portraying fathers and grandfathers filled with love, characters that touched generations, even if his own contributions often went unsung. Peter Scolari as Ron. Peter Thomas Scolari was born on September 12, 1955. He was 47 years old when he appeared in The King of Queens in 2002 as Ron, a supporting character with a witty edge that recalled the familiar style Scolari had established during his days on Bosom Buddies and Newhart. Throughout his career, he also left his mark in major projects like HBO's Girls, where he won an Emmy for his role as a warm yet world-weary father. Despite the spotlight, Scolari had to fight through many painful personal struggles. From childhood, he lived in a household filled with violence and instability, with a strict, harsh father and a mother who battled alcoholism. These psychological scars followed him into fame, contributing to his battles with bipolar disorder and substance abuse. 4 failed marriages and sometimes distant relationships with his children left him with guilt and a lingering sense of helplessness, even as his professional work continued to earn respect. As he entered his twilight years, a diagnosis of leukemia struck, draining the strength and hope from a man once full of energy and passion. Scolari continued to work and remain close to his art, but deep inside, he could not shake the bitterness of feeling forgotten by Hollywood, never having reached the top tier he had once dreamed of. Even his excellent guest roles could not fill the emotional void in a soul marked by deep wounds. Peter Scolari died in Manhattan on October 22, 2021, at the age of 66, leaving behind an estimated net worth of about $2 million, including the modest apartment he had lived in during his final years. A poignant end for a talented artist who carried with him an aching uncertainty about his true worth in an industry that can be unforgiving and quick to forget. Eddie Money as himself. Edward Joseph Money was born on March 21, 1949. At 53 years old, he appeared as himself in an episode of The King of Queens in 2002, still vibrant and beloved by audiences. His energetic, powerful rock hits defined Eddie Money's legacy, placing him among the stars of 1970s-80s rock, with more than 10 top 40 singles etched into music history. But beyond the stage lights, Eddie Money's life was filled with pain. Early in his career, he fell into substance abuse. a mistake that nearly killed him after taking the wrong barbiturate, which led to partial leg paralysis and lifelong complications. Alcohol and tobacco continued to wear down his health, causing repeated relapses during attempts at recovery. A father of 5, Eddie still struggled internally, tormented by the missed opportunities and a fading image of his younger self. The final blow came when he underwent heart valve surgery and was then diagnosed with late-stage esophageal cancer. Just as he seemed to have found peace with his family after 30 years of marriage and a vow to quit drinking, Eddie was left helpless by complications from surgery. Only weeks later, he took his last breath at a Los Angeles hospital in 2019, at the age of 70. His estimated net worth was around $20 million, including a home in Los Angeles and a valuable collection of musical memorabilia, none of which could fill the vast absence he left behind. Charlotte Rae as Betty. Charlotte Rae Lubotsky was born on April 22, 1926. At 79 years old, she still appeared on screen in 2005, proving the enduring vitality of a beloved television icon whose charm spanned generations. With nearly 7 decades in the industry, Rae made her mark through her delightful, witty performances and her willingness to expose her warm heart in every role. Yet behind the screen, Charlotte Rae bore a string of sorrows she rarely shared. Her marriage to composer John Strauss ended when he came out as gay, leaving Rae to carry the family alone in emotional solitude. Even more heartbreaking, her firstborn son suffered from severe autism and epilepsy, a lifelong concern that kept her under emotional and financial strain, even as fame surrounded her. The grief and burden of family life seemed to follow her until her final days. Old age did not bring Rae peace either, as she endured multiple heart surgeries, a pacemaker implant, and a diagnosis of bone cancer at age 91. She had previously beaten pancreatic cancer in 2009, but her weakening health and exhausted heart finally gave out in the summer of 2018, ending her life at age 92 in her Los Angeles home. Her estimated net worth was around $4 million, including the longtime Los Angeles residence, now only a memory of a television legend, Norma Michaels as Josephine. Norma Michaels was born on March 13, 1924. A graceful actress of the small screen, she began her career in 1954 and was still appearing on set at the age of 79 in 2004. Devoted to the craft for 6 decades, she stood out with her role as Josephine in The King of Queens, portraying an elderly woman full of warmth and humor. With over 60 years of quiet dedication, Norma made her name in the hearts of viewers through hit series like Modern Family, Everybody Loves Raymond, and Highway to Heaven. But beyond the stage lights, Norma's life was filled with emptiness. She never married, had no children, and openly admitted that the stage was the only home she ever had. Behind the scenes, she carried the sadness of a career she felt lacked recognition and a deep fear of being forgotten. That fear drove her to keep working until the very end, as if to compensate for what was missing in her personal life, even though her fame never truly exploded the way she had dreamed. In her final years, Norma's health declined significantly due to aging complications, forcing her to limit appearances and gradually withdraw from performing. Still, to those close to her, Norma was always remembered as a strong, devoted woman who gave her all to the arts. She passed away quietly in Palm Springs in January 2020, at the age of 95. Norma Michaels died peacefully on January 11, 2020, at the age of 95, leaving behind an estimated net worth of about $1 million tied to her final home, a cozy space that, despite its warmth, lacked the presence of a real family. Pamela Kosh as Flora. Pamela Kosh was born on October 1, 1928, an English-born actress best known for her role as Flora in The King of Queens, which she played at age 70 in 2001. Her television career spanned more than 4 decades, filled with sharp supporting roles, from stern housekeepers to dignified ladies. Though she never reached stardom, she remained a trusted and familiar presence on American TV screens. Pamela's marriage was once likened to a long-running stage play. She married fellow actor Walter Gilmore, but they had no children, and her devotion to the theater gradually pulled them apart. Her complete commitment to stage work, often at the expense of her home life, left Walter feeling isolated and jealous of the spotlight that seemed to consume her heart. They tried to mend things, but eventually grew distant, and Pamela found solace only in her work, using it as a refuge from loneliness. She suffered greatly after her husband passed away. Aging and fragile, she battled dizziness and frequent falls that made daily life difficult. With no children to care for her, Pamela had to hire assistants while quietly fading under the weight of being forgotten by Hollywood. At night, she was left only with echoes of her performances and old posters, haunting reminders of a brief but brilliant time. Pamela Kosh took her final breath on May 4, 2022, at the age of 93, ending a long journey in silence. She left behind an estimated net worth of about $1 million, along with her home in Burbank, filled with stage books and theatrical props. All the radiant smiles on screen eventually faded, leaving behind private corners filled with loss and unspoken longing. Was fame truly worth what they gave up? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to follow us to discover more untold stories of familiar faces.